Welcome. This lesson is over percent. So let's look at our number routine. So in our number routine, it says the following. If the monthly income of the Brooker family is $2,000, how much will they spend on food that is 25% of their budget? So let's get my marker out. And what does that mean? 25% of the budget. Well, this whole bar represents 100%. So 100% is $2,000. So you know what? I'm going to do the benchmarks. So I know that this represents 50%, this represents 25%, and this represents 75%. So there's many ways to do this. 50% is half of 100%. What is 50% or half of $2,000? That would be $1,000. And so 25% is half of 50%. What is half of $1,000? $500. So that's one way you could have solved it. Another way you could have solved it is looking at the relationship. How do you break down 100% to 25%? You divide it into fourths. So what's 2,000 divided into fourths? 2,000 divided by fourths is $500. Or you can see an up and down relationship. How do you turn 100 to 2,000? Times 20. What is 25 times 20? $500. Many, many ways to solve this. So let's look at this video. So let me get the thing ready for you.
How much was that again? 45. There's 5 and much longer? I'm sorry. I want to give you a tip. It's just difficult to figure out what 15% of $4.85 is when somebody's looking at you. 73 cents.
Don't you hate it when people are staring at you as you're doing mathematics? I know I do. It makes you really nervous. Even though I'm a math teacher, when other math teachers are staring at me as I'm doing math, I'm afraid that I'm going to make a mistake. So this represents a percent bar. So what do you know about percent bar? Well, you know it's 0% and 100%. So 100% is $4.80. So what is 15% of $4.80? How would you like to approach this? Well, you know what? What if I break this into tenths or 10 parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10%. So how do you break down 100% to 10%? How do you break down 100% to 10%? You break it into 10 parts. So what's $4.80 divided into 10 parts or 10 sections? Can 10 go into 4? 0 times. Can 10 go into 48? 4 times. Can 10 go into 80? 8 times. So it's 48 cents. So 10% represents 48 cents. So what is 5% more? So make 15%. What is the relationship between 10% to 5%? Well, 5% is half of 10%. So what's half of 48? Half of 40 is 20. Half of 8 is 4, so 24 cents. So 10 and 5 is 15%. 48 cents plus 24 cents adds up to 72 cents. And that is the answer to that. So here is, oh, okay. So we just did 10% is 48 cents, 5% is 24 cents. So here's another way of looking at it. So you have 100%, 10%. How do you break 100% to 10%? Divide by 10, $4.80 divided by 10 is 48 cents. And we know 5% is half of 10%. So half of 10% is 24 cents. 48 plus 24 cents is 72 cents. So what we're going to be learning today is something called part of the whole. So let's read our thing. Tickets for the school movies for the school movie night sell for $5 each. There is a 20% discount for purchasing movie tickets early. How much money will Charles save by purchasing a ticket early? So you are given a percent bar as such. So how many groups of 20% go into 100%? Hopefully you say 5 groups. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups. So we will have, so let's show that right now. So there are 5 groups. So let's divide this into 5 groups. So let's label this. This is 0%. This represents 100%. So if you pay for the whole ticket, all 100% of it, it will cost you $5. So 20% goes right here. Each 20% represents what dollar amount? So each 20% represents what dollar amount? Can I break 100% into 20%? What's the relationship? Divide by 5. Divide by 5. So that'll be $1. So each 20% represents $1. So 100% of 5 is 5. 20% is 1. So what if it is 40%? What's the relationship between 20% to 40% times 2? That would be $2. What if it is 60%? What's the relationship between 20% to 60% times 3? That would be $3. What if it's 80%? What's the relationship between 20% to 80% times 4? That would be $4. So from this, you can answer any question. So if the question was, if you save 40%, how much money would you save? $2. All right, next one. Alice spent $8 at Chili. She tipped the waiter 25% of the $8 bill. How much did Alice tip? So how many groups of 25% goes into 100%? How many groups? Hopefully you said 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's draw this with this percent bar. So this is 0%. This is 100%. And this represents 25%. And if she spent 100% at Chili, she spent $8 at Chili. So what is 25% of $8? So what is the relationship between 100% to 25%? We're divided into fourths, into 4 groups. $8 divided by 4 is $2. So what dollar amount represent each 25%? $2. So if it is 50%, so what's the relationship between 25% to 50% times 2? That would be $4. 75%. What is the relationship between 25% to 75% times 3? That would be $6. So 100% is $8. 25% is $2. So what if she tipped the waiter 75%? People have done that before. She'll give $6 extra in tip. And sometimes you hear people tipping 100%. So she'll give $8. Sometimes tip 2%. That's times 2, $16. So Miranda bought a lipstick for $4. She saved 30% by using a coupon. How much money did Miranda save by using a coupon? So we know 30%. If you look through here in these bars, you're not going to see any individual piece that equals 30%. Do you know another percent that is can you break down 30% into something that's more manageable, into something that you recognize? Do you know anything that's more recognized? What about 10%? So how many groups of 10% goes into 100%? 10 groups. So we are going to break this into 10 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this represents 0%. This represents 100%. She spent 100% on a lipstick. She spent $4. And so 10, 20, and here's 30% right here. But since we are breaking this down into groups of 10%, what dollar amount, so 10% right here, what is the relationship between 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. Divide by 10. What's $4 divided into 10 groups? 10 goes in 4, 0 times. 10 goes in 40, 4 times. 10 goes in 0, 0. So every 10% represents 40 cents. So how do you build 10% to 30%? You triple it. What's triple or times 3? 40 cents. That's $1.20. So 100% is 4, 10% is 40 cents, 30% is $1.20. Another way you could have done it is this way. Some people may see it this way. I hope someone's saw it this way. What's the relationship, a down to up to relationship? What is the relationship between 100 to 4? Divide by 25. Divide by 25. So what's 30 divided by 25? It goes in one time. 30 minus 25 is 5, and x is 0. 25 goes 50 two times, so $1.20. That's another way you could have done it. Did anybody see it as that way? And our last one is tax rate for Elenco, Florida is 5%. If you buy $6 shoe, how much tax will you pay? This is flexible thinking. You are going to come up with your group and solve this 2 different ways. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you solved it. So one way you could have solved it is this represents 0%. This represents 100%. So if you pay 100%, that would be $6, the whole shoe. But it says 5%. So this is one way you could have done it. So 5% would be this part right here. What is the relationship between 100% to 5%? Divide by 20. Divide by 20. What is 6? Whoa. What is 6 divided by 20? Can 20 go in 6? 0 times. And x is 0. Can 20 go 60? 3 times. So it is 30 cents. 5% is 30 cents. 100% is $6. So if 5% is 30 cents, 10%, that's times 2, must be 60 cents. That's one way you have done it. What's another way you could have solved this? Let's use purple. What about breaking this into tenths? 10%. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So imagine this is 10%. So what's the relationship between 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. So 6 divided by 10, $6 divided by 10 is 60 cents. So every 10% represents 60 cents. How do you break down 10% to 5%? Divided by 2, so it's 30 cents. Another way you could have done it. All right, so an alternative is something called ratio table. We're going to talk about something called ratio table. A ratio table is knowing the percent, because you know a percent is anything out of 100. And then it's called part over whole. If you know what the whole price is, you put it on the bottom of this table. Many ways. So some people like percent bars like this. Some people prefer something called using a table. I do not care, honestly, what you do. Market researchers estimate that 70% of junior high students in the United States own a mobile phone. There are 300 children who are junior high students at Typhoon, Texas today. How many of them would you expect to own a mobile phone based on this statistics? Use the percent to solve the problem. So there are three ways to solve it. You can use the percent bar, or you can solve it using a rate table. So we're going to do both of them because I want you to be fluent in both. So we know that this represents 0%, this represents 100%. So everybody in the park, that's 300 kids. And then you have 70% right here. So our question is, how many people, how many students represent, wait, stop, let me erase this. Just should say 300 students. How many students represent 70%? So there's several ways you can solve this. I'll show you one way. So I'm going to break this into, what do you want to break this into, this percent bar? Hopefully you say 10%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to break it into 10%. What's the relationship between 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. So what's 300 students divided by 10? 30 students. So every 10% represents 30 students. How do you build 10% to 70% times 7? So 30 times 7 is 210 students. So 100% is 300 is 300. 10% is 30. So 70% times 7 is 210. That's one way you could have solved it. Let me show you another way you could have solved it. Maybe you're looking at that way and say, I don't think so, Mr. Joe. I do not like it that way. Do you see an down to up relationship? How do you turn 100% to 300 times 3? So it's 70 times 3, 210. And now let's look at a table, a rate table. So it says 70% of junior high students in the United States own a cell phone. How would you write 70% as a fraction? 70 out of 100. There are 300 children who are junior high students. Is that all of them? So that would go on the bottom right here. What is the relationship between 100 to 300? Times 3 times 3, and that's where you get 210. So 210 out of 300 students own a mobile device, or 70%. Mr. Rao surveyed his class of 140 students. 75% of his students like gummy bears. How many students like gummy bear? Use the percent bar to solve the problem. So this represents 0%. This represents 100%. This represents 140 students. 75% goes right. Whoops. Ooh, what happened? Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, 75% goes right here. So how am I going to solve this? Well, do you know 75% is part of what benchmark? Hopefully you said it's a fourth, which is 25%. So how do I break down 100% to 25%? Divide it into 4 parts. Divide it into 4 parts. What is 140 divided by 4? 4 goes to 14 3 times. 4 goes to 25 times. So it represents 35 students. And what is the relationship between 25% to 75%? Times 3 times 3, 35, 35, 35 is 105 students. So 100% is 140, 25% is 35, 75% is 105. Maybe you're looking at this and say, you know what? I think I know another way to solve it. What about this way? How do you turn 100 to 140 times what? How many hundreds go into 140? It goes in one time. How do I get rid of this remainder? Annex a 0. 100 goes in 400 four times, so it's times 1.4. 75 times 1.4 is 105. Maybe you're looking at that and you say, you know what? I don't like it this way. I want to use a table. I love tables, by the way, if you don't figure out. So what percent did they give you? 75%. How would you write that as a fraction? 75 out of 100. So if it's 100%, that's everybody. How many students is that? 140. So how do you turn 100 to 140? Any suggestion on how to break this down? Well, we could simplify. So would you simplify this? Uh, Wait, isn't 75% just 3/4? And how many fours go into 140? How many fours go in 140? It goes in 3 times, and then it goes in 5 times. So times 35 times 35, that's where you get 105. So I simplify this by dividing by 25, get 3/4. Then I build it back up. And so that is the study of part to whole. You can make a percent bar. You can be flexible and go to a sideways relationship or up and down relationship, or you can make a table and break it down, build it up, and that is quarter. Let's close this